with Laura Coates. She's CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor. Laura, thanks for being with us here. This video that we're seeing now, as we've said, it's disturbing, and it's hard to even comprehend what is in his mind. What was your initial reaction when you listened to it, when you saw his demeanor?
Oh, I think I had the same visceral reaction that everyone had of this very eerie, monotone man who thought that he was justifying a horrific, disgusting tragedy by trying to agitate race relations. And I think one of the things that was so shocking to people was the idea that the Trayvon Martin case with the trial of George Zimmerman it was such a polarizing aspect of our country, and really I thought was one that was going to quell some racial tensions. And in fact, in his mind, it actually served as an impetus behind this act. But it was very, very heartbreaking to hear that there was this particular person who had no remorse, no expression of remorse, and a very, very quick confession in this case.
And because of that, what does that tell you about his mental capabilities? I mean, we know that he is capable enough to stand trial, but he's representing himself. There are a lot of questions, and it seems like the defense, as I understand it, is not going to call a lot of witnesses initially. They are banking on his mental health, getting him off of death row. Do you think that's possible?
No, and the irony of that is that he has opted to have his defense attorneys help him with the guilt phase of the trial, and for himself to be able to cover for the penalty phase, which is very shocking because the guilt phase is when you'd expect him to make a defense here. They've already conceded that he, in fact, is guilty of these crimes. And the irony here is that a man who massacred 9 people in this church wants his own life spared to be able to be serving a life sentence without parole. But the thing is, the mental health is no longer really an issue. I know we look at this case and say, obviously, this man is insane to have committed this type of crime. But legally speaking, he is competent to stand trial, and he even has had evaluations to suggest that is actually the case. But remember, death penalty cases, especially at the federal level, are in fact very rare to bring. And even when you actually do get a conviction and try to implement and follow through on the death penalty itself, it's very, very hard because it takes very, very many years. Tsarnaev, the Boston Marathon bomber, is still on federal death row, as are at least, I think, 50 or more other inmates on death row in the federal level. And so it's hard to carry those penalties out. This will be a long, drawn-out process, and it'll be heartbreaking to see it go through appeals.
I want to talk about the makeup of the jury. 10 women, 2 men, 3 are black. So this is primarily a white female jury. May have some moms in the mix there who may look at this kid and think, gosh, where did things go wrong? Do you think he should die? And what do you think they'll be able to reconcile themselves?
I think that they are absolutely entitled to pursue the death penalty in this case for this particular individual. Death penalty cases are reserved for truly heinous crimes and truly heinous individuals who act on particularly bigoted motivations and other motivations. And this is that prime example of somebody who in fact has followed through with a heinous crime. Having said that, juries still do not like to enforce the death penalty. They twice as often institute a life without prison and parole possibly than they do the death penalty. And that's for the reasons you just said. You've got people who are heartfelt and have a different issue with the death penalty, and obviously the community themselves. Remember, when he was first arraigned, the survivors and the families of the victims came forward and said, I forgive you, and have not been very, very vocal about wanting the death penalty to be enacted in this particular case. So that's going to have a very big impact.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this community is so full of compassion, no doubt about it. Laura Coates, thank you so much for your expertise. Appreciate it.